You mad, bro?
I'm mad, bro. Can't even feel the other side turning over there. Go see if the other side's turning. Wait, we can see right here. It is not turning.
Oh no.
And it still ain't fitting.
We're Amber and Eli. We are converting a school bus into our future tiny home. After our trip out west, where we visited some of my family in Albuquerque, then traveled across New Mexico to Arizona to knock the Grand Canyon off our bucket list, Eli noticed some mechanical issues with Magnolia, our Skoolie. In this episode, we share with you one of the issues that Maggie needed fixing, the brake system. If you would like to see a more informational video on how to change your brakes, check out our how-to section on our page.
Last one. It's your turn. Get your butt up there. Go all the way to the end. Keep going. Jump harder. Put this all the way to the end.
Like that?
Yeah, like that. Pull on that bumper. Pull down on that bumper.
I'm not heavy enough.
Here. That was hard. I am replacing the rotors, calipers, and brake pads for sure, along with the rubber hose, the hydraulic hose. There's a whole hydraulic system, so both front and back are rotors, calipers, and pads. So got all those new. I also bought bearings. There's 2 sets of bearings in each hub. So I bought a set of bearings for the front and a set of bearings for the back. I don't assume all 4 of them is bad, but if at least one of them is bad, so we're gonna get in here and check them. We got a
Full of grime.
we got a wheel seal busted, fellas, and this ain't moving. This is locked up right now. It's
Wow.
not locked up, but it's not moving like it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. You done? You mad, bro?
I'm mad, bro. Good one. Ha! I am man! Tell you what, that's the hardest road I've ever changed. Big ass thing. Just because you have thickness left on the metal and thickness left on the pads does not mean they are still good. Let me grab the pads for you because the pads had a lot of life left. The pads are bad. I would assume these are the original rotors because of the rust. These were my pads. You can see there's still life left to them, but that does not mean they are still good. While we were coming down the mountain, we had see, these brakes got so hot. I drove about 800 miles with just the front brakes, and these are the front brakes. So coming down some of these mountains, I overheated the crap out of my front brakes, as well as the back ones, because the reason they were disconnected is because the back ones were locking up on me. So yesterday, spent all day trying to get this rear axle out. Right here. There are not many school bus rear hub disassembly videos. There are a couple on YouTube, and all of them that I've seen, you get these nuts off, you hit this with a big mallet or hammer, and it just slides right out. I beat on this thing all day yesterday. I beat around it, hit it around it, hit it in the center till it started messing this up. I had a wedge, a screwdriver right here trying to wedge that out. So, the problem is these guys on the stud are cones. You can see right here there's a gap. So that is a wedge. It's a cone shaped wedge that sits on the stud, and as this nut tightens down on it, it tightens down on the stud. So right now they are so tight it ain't budging. So what banging on this does, when it's supposed to knock the cone free and allow it to slide out. I'm gonna let that sit. Let that marinate. It's the Mardi Gras edition of working on the bus. Bae just got here. She come and help me film.
Hello.
What's up, beautiful?
Not much. What's up?
We just got the transmission cooler in. This should be the transmission cooler. The reason I'm putting a transmission cooler on is going up some of these mountains, transmission overheated. It did not help that brakes were sticking. The brakes overworked the whole drivetrain. So like I was towing a whole nother bus for a few hundred miles. It stays at operating temperature unless it's overworking. But many of my vehicles I've put transmission coolers on. It drops it a significant temperature difference. Transmission coolers can lengthen the life of your transmission. So this is the cooler. It's a nice looking little cooler. It's the fitting style. This fan mounts onto it nice and neat. There was a few coolers I was looking at on Amazon and eBay. The one I wanted was almost $280, and it was almost identical to this, except the fan housing, it was one piece. It was all molded together, and it was American made. This looks all Chinese, but this was 80 bucks. So $200 less, and the fan is separate. I'll just have to figure out a way to mount it up. Since the cooler will be mounted in the front of the radiator and everything, we got more hose for the transmission line. It came with all these fancy connections. You can cut this hose to the length you need, and then the connections, they screw on. So we will see how that works. I'm excited, got all my parts in, spent $2,300 on bus parts this month. So we got a whole lot of install video to show you. Hopefully I made good, wise choices on what to spend my money on. We took a massive 3,500 mile trip in November, and these were the issues that I found over that massive road trip going west. We hit the Grand Canyon, we hit the Petrified Forest, we hit numerous national parks, national forest, camping sites. We did a lot. We went a lot of places. Carlsbad Caverns. Since I spent way too much money on mechanics, we will now be tearing down a camper to get all the donor parts. Water tanks, propane tanks, all the livable stuff we'll be yanking out of an old camper, 1990s camper. We're gonna put all these fancy parts in the bus with all the other fancy parts. So now that the caliper's off, it spins nice and free. Can't even feel the other side turning over there. Go see if the other side's turning. Wait, we can see right here. It is not turning.
Oh no.
See what that means?
What does that mean?
It doesn't turn good.
The other one turns with it. Oh no, it doesn't.
Oh, there's no
do.
axle in it. This one has a lot of evidence of that seal leaking. This seal, I don't know, it's looking rough. This bearing in here, if you can see it, it's bouncing around. The front hub didn't bounce around like that. It was all nice and solid. So we'll see what this one looks like when it comes apart. Definitely got a leak. Seal was definitely leaking. That's all coming out the crack in the seal. Now this rotor was the first one that I noticed smoking. It was pulling a sticky caliper for probably 500 miles at this point, and we were pulling up a hill right outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico on the 40, coming up a couple of the first hills, and it did not want to go anymore. I was overheating real bad, and it just stopped moving. The bus said, I don't want to go no more. The wind pulled all the smoke the bus was making, and it poured out in front of the bus, and that's when we started smelling smoke and seeing all the smoke, and we got out, and this hub was, I don't know how it wasn't on fire, because this hub was smoking. So the leak might have came from that, or it might have been wet before and now it's a caked oil because of the heat. Not sure, but I'm sure happy I have it off and I can have my eyes and hands on it. It's peace of mind. Let's get the seal out of here. My tire iron. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'm going to clean these guys. I'm going to flush them out first with mystery oil. If you don't know about mystery oil, neither do I, it's a mystery. But this stuff has been around since before I was born. I had a nightmare the other night that I pressed my seal without putting the bearing in first. Don't do that. The seal holds the bearing in. Doesn't hold the bearing in, but it you're not moving that bearing once the seal's in. Seal presser. And it still ain't fitting. Just need a little bit more finesse. Or a little bit more bless. Make a bigger tooth. Now I gotta make a flatter tooth. That's too loud. Fucking concrete right here. So we got the key made. This was broken right here before I got the bus. When I got this off, it was broken, so I welded this on here. This key's in rough shape. We're just trying to harden this steel. I don't want that tooth to break while it's in there. So we're gonna heat it up so it's red hot, and then we're gonna dip it in a bath of oil. And as soon as it's getting hot, it's starting to warp. So the reason I did that, just if you couldn't hear me, was to harden this little tooth. This little tooth wasn't there at all. It was completely sheared off. And since it's so thin, I took a file and it didn't break while I was filing it on all three sides. So I didn't assume it would break because it's just going to be sandwiched in between there. But just on the safe side, heat it up red hot, dip it just to harden it. You don't need to do it, but I wanted to do it. I don't want to have a problem. It'll be the hardest part of the whole rear end now. It's a new key.
Do a great job.
Get that key in there.
Wow.
Now it's not going to let it move. Get this last nut on here. Oh, I just saw my balls. This is round 2 of bleeding the brakes. It is fixing to rain right now, so we're going to try to get this done as quick as possible. I flushed the brake system with 2.5 quarts of brake fluid, and there was still, when it was coming out, it was looking a milky color, like a white color. It's from all the air that the system is shoving out. So I let it cool off, let it sit for the day, and we're going to come back. And I ran out of brake fluid, so save yourself some trouble, buy the gallon. So we went through 2.5 quarts yesterday, day before, and I'm still probably going to use half of this. So the system was full of old nasty brake fluid, so now it's totally flushed with new stuff, and we're going to try to get all the air out of the system. Got our walkie-talkies. Amber will be in the bus pumping. What she needs to do is pump the brakes and then hold the brakes when she's done pumping. When I crack the bleeder valve, her foot will go all the way to the floor. When her foot touches the floor, she will tell me she's all the way down and I need to tighten it before any air gets back in the system. So it's real hard to hear whenever she's in the bus and I'm outside of the bus. Feel that air?
The
Rain's
cold.
coming, boy.
That's cold, bro.
The air just got cold. Walkie-talkies so we can hear each other. There's no way you're gonna hear each other. We ended up in a situation where we couldn't even use our phones.
Go rain.
Yeah, let's go. You are authorized for takeoff. Last one, baby. Keep your foot on the brake and put it in gear. Yeah, let off the brake a bit. Give it some brake. Let go of the brake. Give it some brake. Put it in reverse. Looking good. And that's a brake job.